Welcome back to Close Up. We're jumping right back into the middle of the Democratic primary for governor. Our next guest is the polling frontrunner in that race, Joyce Craig, the former mayor of Manchester. Former Mayor Craig, thanks for being here.
It's great to be here, Adam.
So everyone's talking about this ad campaign you have up running against your opponent, Councillor Warmington. She's responding quite forcefully, but when it comes to her own actions, she's saying, essentially, if we knew now what we knew then, maybe I would have done things differently. Are you buying that?
I am not. We knew then the dangers that Purdue Pharma and OxyContin on our streets were having on individuals. And the fact is that Cindy Warmington was a lobbyist for Purdue Pharma, and she was a business agent for a notorious pill mill in Somersworth that was pushing these pills into our communities. And then she took campaign dollars from these bad actors for her campaigns, and that's wrong. We need a governor who has spent their entire career fighting this opioid crisis. We can't cherry pick our backgrounds.
We've talked to her about this quite a bit now. She seems quite hesitant to criticize the doctors who allegedly overprescribed opioids and were, theoretically quite responsible for ramping up all of the addiction in our communities. How much responsibility do you believe the medical community and the medical legal community, people like Cindy, how much responsibility do you believe they bear for the reality we're in right now?
So, we know that Purdue Pharma had a big impact on what's happening in our state and in our country when it comes to opioid overdoses. And as a mayor, this is something that I worked around the clock on to address. We implemented evidence-based programs, hired outreach workers, and did everything we could to provide services to individuals to get them the help that they needed when they needed it. And as a result, we saw a 15% decrease in opioid overdoses in the city of Manchester. But one thing that's very important to note is that we did this with very little support from the state. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running, because I understand what's happening at the local level and how our state should be supporting our local communities, helping residents live better lives, and strengthening our local cities and towns. And as governor, that is my intention.
When it comes to politics, the case you're making here seems to be pretty straightforward stuff, her work history, donations to her campaigns, but some Democrats believe you've crossed a line with this attack. What do you say to them?
It's very important that voters in our state understand our full records. The truth matters, and we need voters to understand that.
So she has been bringing up your record as mayor of Manchester, which you touched upon, essentially saying that you failed specifically on the opioid crisis and homelessness.
Yeah, so I think it's really disappointing that Cindy Warmington is parroting the Republican talking points. And I'd like to address something. Today, Kelly Ayotte launched an ad against me, blaming me for a murder that happened in 2015, 2 years before I became mayor. The footage that she used in her ad was from 2015. And what's really disgusting is that today marks the 9th anniversary of Denise Roberts' murder, which still remains unsolved. It is clear to me that Kelly Ayotte will do anything and say anything to get elected, even lying about a murder. And that is disgusting.
Your record in Manchester, is it safe to say that you would run the state the same way you ran the Queen City?
So listen, I am a 4th-generation resident of Manchester, grew up here, married my high school sweetheart, raised our kids here. I love the city. And as mayor, I worked 24/7 to address our statewide challenges. I took on the tough fights, and I got results for residents. So yes, I would work 24/7 to make sure we are doing the best that we can for residents across our state. The results in Manchester speak for themselves. We saw a 40% decrease in violent crime. We now have over 2,000 housing units in development. We brought in over 7,000 new family-sustaining jobs, decreased opioid overdoses by 15%, and we protected and supported the largest Planned Parenthood in the entire state. And these are the same priorities that I'll bring to the governor's office.
And yet last year, voters had a candidate who said, I'm going to do it exactly like Joyce did, and they chose the other guy. Why was that?
I can't speak for voters or candidates. I can speak to how I run my campaign and my record, and that's what I'm standing behind. I have always worked very hard for residents throughout our state. We've made a significant difference in the city of Manchester and throughout the state. When you think about the federal grant that we won for biomanufacturing, that's a game changer for our state. providing workforce development, 7,000 new jobs, led to both Manchester and Nashua becoming a tech hub and getting another $40 million to boost our local economies. These are things that we should be doing throughout our state, and as governor, I'll look to do.
If you were still serving at City Hall, would you support this new strict anti-camping ordinance that passed?
So I understand the mayor and the board of mayor and aldermen are looking at every option available to them to address homelessness. It's what I did as mayor, and we opened up a homeless shelter that was city-run, city-funded for fatality prevention. We opened up an engagement center with many of our nonprofits under one roof so people could get connected to services. We hired experts, and I brought the National Alliance to End Homelessness into the city of Manchester. This is a statewide, nationwide challenge, and we need a governor who has hands-on experience tackling these challenges and will work with our local communities to help them as well.
Do you support the anti-camping ordinance passed in July, though?
So again, I appreciate what they've done. I understand that they're using every tool that they can to address homelessness in the city.
Let's turn to the abortion issue. We know Kelly Ayotte was pro-life. That's her record, and it's extensive. Now she says, though, she's going to govern differently if she becomes governor, saying she's not just going to protect current laws, she's going to fight for it. You think she's lying. How do you prove that to voters?
So you talked about her history and her voting. She has voted multiple times for a national abortion ban. She's voted multiple times to defund Planned Parenthood. She shepherded Neil Gorsuch through the Supreme Court process, and then she celebrated when Roe v. Wade was overturned. Kelly Ayotte's record is that she has spent her entire career attacking reproductive freedom. We cannot trust what she is saying. We need a governor who believes and trusts women to make their own health care decisions. And I do, and I'm the only candidate in this race that actually has put forward a comprehensive policy plan to both protect and expand reproductive health care in this state. That's what we need in New Hampshire.
So the idea is that politicians can't be believed if they say they're going to change their position, essentially. Have you ever changed your position on something?
I can't think of anything. Nothing comes to mind. But I will say that this week, someone asked Kelly Ayotte if a more restrictive abortion ban was put in a budget, if she would veto it. And she did not answer that question. And to me, that's very telling.
You know, after Dobbs in Maryland, a group of clinicians banded together to create what they called an all-trimester abortion facility. That's their term, not mine. National Public Radio reporting that they offer abortions up to 34 weeks of gestation. If you successfully repeal New Hampshire's current abortion law, would you want a similar facility to open or be expanded here in New Hampshire to offer those kinds of abortions to women who live in states with more restrictive bans?
So yes, I think New Hampshire should be a place where people can come and access abortions. But I have to say that abortions later in pregnancy are happening very infrequently and pretty much are not happening. And if they are, it's because of a significant danger or health implication for the mother or the baby. These are Republican talking points trying to cause, anxiety in this situation. And I'll just get back to the fact that I don't believe government plays a role in a decision that should be between a woman and her doctor, and as governor, I will fight to ensure it stays that way. I trust women to make their own health care decisions, and that's critical as we move forward in the state of New Hampshire. We saw Republicans this past session propose very restrictive abortion bans, a 15-day and 15-week. This isn't going away. So we need a governor who will support women and make sure we are fighting to have them have the opportunity to make their own health care decisions.
So you'd say you'd support this clinic offering abortions up to 34 weeks, but you're saying that doesn't happen. But studies have shown, post-Dobbs studies show that there are these abortions happening. You're right, they're extraordinarily rare, but the elective abortions do happen. Can you describe an instance in which an elective abortion happens in the third trimester that is non-medical but morally justified?
Adam, I'm not the expert here. As an elected official, I feel strongly that women should have the right to decide what happens with their own bodies. And that's where I stand on this issue. And that's what I will fight for as governor.
Does the state need to take stronger action on opening up communities that are resistant to building housing developments? Does the state need to do more stick rather than carrot, if you will.
Yeah, so, housing is the #1 challenge that we are facing in the state, affordable housing specifically. And I think the state could play a bigger role in helping our local communities when it comes to providing funding for revising their zoning ordinances, density bonuses for more affordable housing, helping with technical assistance. I don't feel that the state should come in and tell a local community what to do, but I think the state has a bigger role in terms of helping a community understand the value of more housing, more affordable housing in their community, and how that will benefit their community and our state overall. Right now, we know that young people, seniors, and hardworking families can't afford to stay and live in our state because the housing costs and the rent costs are so high, and it's a supply and demand issue. And the projections right now are that New Hampshire needs 60,000 housing units by 2030. So we need to act now. And I'll just say that, again, I'm the only candidate in this race who has the hands-on experience of negotiating with developers, of incentivizing affordable housing, and working with local communities to build the housing that meets their needs. And that's critical as we move forward.
Really quick before we wrap up here, both you and Cindy Wilmington have proposed trash moratoriums on imports from out of state. How do you enforce that and not skyrocket the cost of local tipping fees?
So there's not an issue right now. We don't need more landfills in our state, and that's why I think it's tragic that we are even talking about building a landfill in Dalton for out-of-state trash. We need to put a moratorium on it. We need to fill the commission, and we need to look at this overall in our state to make sure we are doing what's right for New Hampshire residents.
All right, Joyce Craig, thanks for joining us here on Close Up. We'll see you for the Granite State debates very soon.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be right back with more on the new honor for Krista McAuliffe, set to be unveiled at the State House this holiday weekend.